Hello my friends, today we continue our lection part 2 about movement and its disorders. So if you remember, we spoke about pyramid system pathology in last lection, and we speak about the paresis, that loss of the muscular force, and today we will continue second part of the movement, which we will speak about extrapyramidal system pathology. So this lection is a little bit complicated and based on a previous lection about muscular tone, and if you remember, I said that it's very important. And so extrapyramidal system is the role of extrapyramidal system is a base template store for the all type of the movement. If you noticed in a hospital, you see that not all patients have a paresis. So some of them can't move his hand or foot, but it's doing it slowly. Some of them can't control his movement, he lost the coordination, or doing something additional type of movement. For example, the Tremor, Distonia, and tics, chorea, and others. So in classical way, we just distinguish this type of the motion disorders, movement disorders. But in neurophysiological and evolutionary way, which we try to understand now today, I will try to explain for you. It is something other, and you need to understand the evolution of this type of movement for distinguish the type of the disorders, movement disorders, for understanding the look and seeing the type of the disorders, if it is even showed not so evidently. Okay, so try to start. If you remember, we speak about in last lections about the muscular tone. We said that muscular tone is a base of the movement, and if muscular tone is lost, the movement can't be done. So let me make a short review about the muscular tone, and this will help us. The kit is called the Hasmictota, and everything what I speak I will show on Hasmictota. So if you remember, we speak about so look, let's imagine we have some materials like him, and same materials has a body. So our body can move, can doing something, and it is very complicated to understand how is doing part by part. But we start to analyze starting from little parts and putting on each others and understand and showing on a Hasmictota, and understand how is this part adding to each other to forming a big, difficult type of a movement. So if you remember, I say about that this material has any muscular tone, and even when, for example, he is sleeping, and when he is wake up, his reticular formation from the brainstem enhance the baseline of muscular tone. So everybody when sleeping, he lost his muscular tone, and when reticular formation is activating, he gives the muscles to have a base level of muscular tone. So we speak, if you remember, we speak about the muscular tone is change from the antagonist muscles, extensors and flexors, to get some posture. So when we speak about last lection, we said the posture is the base of the movement. So each positioning, what should she want to do? At first, she will change the base of position. So when he is walking, he is changing his position. Each type of the movement, even when she is doing something with her hand or with eyes hid, her body keeping in a specific position. So when this person is waking up, the second system, which is upper than the spinal cord, vestibular tract, is connecting and understand of the position of his head and regulate the left, right, and upper, bottom and upper side of the body's muscular tone to keep his body in a vertical position. And by functioning this system is called the anti-gravitation. So gravitation is a force that the earth is affecting on us, and this anti-gravitation system is help us the making a changement of position on a vertical in vertical position. So posture changement in a vertical position, put a control on spinal cord reflexes and reticular tract, reticular formation tract system by the vestibular system. So these both are control the muscular base tone and change the level of a different muscle to keeping in a vertical position. Level from upper is a rubral tract, rubral nucleus, and his control the differentiation between upper side muscles and the bottom side. So bottom side is not touched, and he's keep the position of the instant position, but the hand he is keeping like this. I show you about the decortication position and decerebration position when the muscular tone a little bit construct the flexors of this of the body of the hand, and in this position person can do a very easy way to do something with hands. So this is the upper side, upper level of the force, and these three tracts, three system which with each others can do a posture basically when we can looking something and doing with hands in a vertical position. So for example, when we are doing something with our hands, we are not think that our posture is changed. So it is going to under consciousness, like the extrapyramidal system working is under consciousness, under consciousness. So upper system is being functioned is represented of a globulus pallidum, and the nearest to gray matter, the dark substantia with dopaminergic nucleus and dopaminergic nucleus. So in this nearest to this level is center of the vision and acoustic centers also involved. So when for example person is changing her head, in this case her head, so muscular tone is changed from a left to right side for coordinating the head position and body position to each others. In same ways, when he changed her eyes and turning to left or turning to right, change of vision, vision area, her muscular tone also change to make the posture appropriate to the eye, and also it concerning a voice. For example, I see that in some situation when explosion from the right side will exist, so any person is turning her head in a right side, and also in same time the muscular tone also change, because in same time he little bit turn the body also. Okay, so upper level is concerning the caudatum nucleus and cortex. We will speak a little bit later, but mostly muscular tone is controlled by the red nucleus, vestibular tract, and the reticulospinal tract. So brainstem system is controlled. So let's continue and understand about what in general we mean when we say that movement, human movement. When we say about movement, movement in general, it said motility and ability of change position of body, and it divided into two parts. First is a large motility and the small motility. Large motility is, for example, the turning over, the crawl, slopes, walking, and so other type of movement. And the small motility is manipulating with the small subjects with hand and eyes. For example, coordinately doing some movement by hand and eye when we're looking something and doing, for example, a right hand writing. This is concerning about small motility. To say the truth, that important one moment. Remember that large motility is in evolution coming from up to down. At first, the child, when newborn's child, try to control his eye movement. After face, head, and then hand and foot. So it is developing from bottom to down. So it is explain the movement by various author in many type, but one author, his name is Bernstein, is explain the movement theory in one way, which is nearest to clinical classification, and need to understand how level of the movement control, and each control when it's broken, how many type of the pathology is developed. So first level by his classification, it called the paleokinetic level. Second level, it's upper, it's called the synergic, and involve the thalamus and the pallidal level. So bottomer, then down, then pallidus and thalamus. Thalamal level is paleokinetic system, which involve the brainstem and spinal cord. So we do not need to in this case differentiate this impulse come from the brainstem or spinal cord, because functionally it is combined to each other. So brainstem working with the spinal cord, and to say the truth, in general, it called in encephalization of the duration in evolution. The one type of center from the spinal cord goes and form the brainstem. So brainstem and spinal cord both works to each others, and in this classification it called the paleokinetic system. Second is synergy, which make a synergy of movement. It called thalamus and pallidum. Third, concerning about forming the movement in a tridimensional space. So it called the space part, and involved, divided into two parts, the cortical level and the pallidal level. Pallidal. Involved the caudatum nucleus and striar. So base level is a striar and caudatum nucleus, upper cortical level. This is a third level. This is coordinate our body movement concerning to moving correctly moving from inner space. Fourth level is concerning inner cortex, and it's involved about doing some movement with the subjects, for example with the pen or cracker or something others. The last level, fifth level, is concerning with the speech. So let's understand the situation. Then, for example, when you sitting here, but you can think and imagine that go to the kitchen and drink a cup of water. So this is, I say, the speech, but my speech you can realize by the movement. So each speech has its essence of movement, and each essence of movement has a program of body moving. Yes. So when we say drink a water, go and drink a water, or write something, this word write, for example, write your name, please, with pen. So write your name, these words coming a little bit downer and doing the essence of the movement. What you should do? You should take the pen and write doing some movement. In this position, the bottomer third level of the will control the automatic changement of the program and control the program, and it control for in a tridimensional space. For example, you will write A, then B and C will control the tridimensional space of movement. Second, Paleothalamus and Paleokinetic will control the synergic movement of this movement, synergy. And the first level is control your body positioning for doing this movement. This is why I tell about vice versa, because for understand how is the speech can control the movement and why. So the first we will speak about the paleokinetic system. So paleokinetic system is based on two type of motion of movement, and in generally when you notice how many type muscle can construct. Type, please be careful, type. So for example, you see how is gastroileal tract is constructing for evacuation of the evacuator function, doing evacuator function, and how is different with some type of fast movement when you try to catch something, and this is very different, yes, as you notice, and try to distinguish these two type of movements. So first type in paleokinetic system, in base system of a movement, is doing slowly but long time a forcefully movement. This is we see when, for example, the person being in one position, for example. This is also slow, doing with force and long time movement. So she can stand, yes, a lot of time. Or she can doing with force something, yes. This is ability type of the movement. It based on this type of muscle or construction. So inside of the nervous system is being this type of the neural impulses. So this is the first time in movement type of the paleokinetic system, and the ability of this type is not only force and long time, it is also diffusivity. So diffuse body can doing with force and long time something. And second is we say the neokinetic movement. What is a neokinetic movement? For example, at first in evolution you see the helminths that's moving slowly, yes. It is a simply representation of paleokinetic movement. But when in evolution in duration, it's need to doing something fast, yes. Helminths can do a fast. So, but for example, mongoose can do a very fast movement. So this type of a movement, second type, is called the neokinetic movement. Neokinetic movement can do a movement very fastly, short, and then relax. So in all the movement ability of body, these two type of the movement working to each others. So neural centers doing something paleokinetically slowly, being in one positioning, yes, keeping in this positioning and in diffuse muscle, and other type is working fastly doing. For example, when you walking, look, you slowly can change the body and being in this position, and fastly can do other type of movement. This is the ability of neural center which come from the evolution to constructing the muscles, and which is involved in specific movement. Okay. I'm sorry. So, anatomical base of the paleokinetic system is involved the rubral nucleus, vestibular nucleus, olivar nucleus, and diffuse system, reticulospinal tract, reticular formation, and diffuse system of neuronal structure in spinal cord. So it is also involved by Darshkevich nucleus, which control, I spoke about a few times ago about this, and Lewis body, and hypothalamus also, and evolutionally last ancient part of the cerebellum, which control the body position, helps control the body position. So the evolutionary part of the last part of the older part of the cerebellum, it is a very similar to the vestibular nucleus. They work to each others synergically, yes, help each other. Why when we see the stroke in a cerebellum, the patient have a vertigo. So they say about vertigo. So afferent part of the paleokinetic tract is coming from the proprioceptors. All type of muscles in being in position inform the paleokinetic tract, this nucleus, and this nucleus understand in what position is now being a body. Also they understand what voice is around this, and what eye position now and head position person have. So if you remember, I say about the vestibular tract help being in a vertical position, and ability of the paleokinetic tract is please remember, doing technical background for the for making some type of the movement. What we said that background, if you remember when we speak about the muscular tone, we said that when we're taking something with bias, we have keep the same posture, specific posture, and ability of paleokinetic tract. You know, I will say something which I forget to say in the first lection. So please be careful. When we say pathology in extrapyramidal tract is divided into two parts. First, in part we involve the ability of muscular tone and ability of a fast movement. So for that we say the divided two part: hypertonic, it means muscular tone; hypokinetic, so loss of movement, ability of movement, and vice versa, hypotonic and hyperkinetic syndrome. This is two type of the syndrome. For example, akinetic syndrome, which we say akinesia or hypokinesia, which we see in Parkinson's disease. For example, it involves the highest muscular tone and a loss of ability of fast movement. But vice versa, for example, the chorea, we have a representative, for example, a hypertonic hyperkinetic syndrome. We have a low muscular tone and additional ability of movement which is not normal. So patient is doing some movement, they lost a goal or target to doing this movement, additional movement. So this type of two ability of type extrapyramidal disorders, it is a very useful classification, and please be careful because try to understand, because you know when we see the for example we see the hypertonic hypokinetic syndrome, it is not equivalent to Parkinson in most cases, in any cases. When Parkinson is a type of the hypokinetic hypertonic syndrome, but there is a lot of pathology which is not Parkinson, and they have a hypertonic hypokinetic syndrome, which they said that this is a Parkinson. This is not true. So it is a very important thing which I speak in this lection that you have to understand, because how you will say about this syndrome, it concerning to treatment of patient. So please be careful. All the neurological disorders are similar to each other. For example, you see hemiparesis, but same hemiparesis could be in a stroke and it could be in a tumor, and you need to distinguish these two situations. But in view, it looks like mostly as the same. Okay. Good. So let's continue in paleokinetic system. The ability of paleokinetic system is a changing of the impulsation between agonist and antagonist. Look. So it's constructing flexors and constructing the extensors. So when he can construct the flexors and relax the antagonist muscle extensors. So if he is doing fastly or is doing coordinately in his body, in physiological system, we have a normal movement. But in paleokinetic system, there exist of two type of pathology, which is produced by the paleokinetic system. So it is a tremor and dystonia. So what is a dystonia? So dystonia is a pathology when the thin regulation between the agonist and antagonist are disordered, and the position is forcefully, remember, paleokinetic ability of movement, being in one position, in this position. Patients say, I can't relax my muscle. My hand, for example, every time is being in this position. And the second, this is called about dystonia. To say the truth about clinical type of pathology, for example, how many type of dystonia, and each type is pathogenetic base of this type. We will speak about to Lucine in the hospital. She will show you a lot of patients and explain this type separately. So our goal is to understand that how is coming the dystonia as a pathology. Yes, and second time, ability of the paleokinetic system of changement, agonist and antagonist. If I do a fastly in same time, I will see the disorder. It called the tremor. So to say the truth, the paleokinetic disorders are look like in two types. It is a simply sinusoidal movement, for example, a tremor, and second being in a one position. Even when I take something, this is also paleokinetic system function or ability of movement. In pathological case, when I try to take something, for example, this is also produced by the paleokinetic system and the sinusoidal movement. For example, tremor. You see a tremor. For example, patients say like this, and this is also involved. This is also produced by the paleokinetic system. Okay, so let's speak about something interesting and something important. If you're clever, you will ask to me that, for example, you see a Parkinson disease which have a tremor and is also sinusoidal tremor, sinusoidal movement, but how in Parkinson the lost the basal ganglia functional control of the body, but how the paleokinetic system is not damaged primary, for example, or other pathology. For example, in stroke, you see some type of a stroke, you see enhanced muscular tone, and this is being a position and doing a forced movement, position with force, so paleokinetic ability of movement, but paleokinetic system is not damaged. So it is very important question that you need to understand something. In a neural system, each level of the in a brain, in a spine, controlled by the level from upper. So when a level from upper is damaged, bottom or control. Look, for example, this my hands, for example, one type of nucleus which is moving in from a spinal cord or a brainstem, some movement. I have a second nucleus which is being upper than this nucleus and control to this movement. So this nucleus work. When in some pathology this nucleus is damaged, second nucleus, which is bottomer, lost the control and he is doing ability what he wants to do, what he can to do. For example, if paleokinetic system can construct diffusely, forcefully, slowly movement, it is being in a position after stroke, it is postural reaction in a Parkinson, it is a tremor of Parkinson, and so other type of pathology. It is a sign that the upper system than paleokinetic system lost his control to the paleokinetic system. In scientists' word, it's called deafferentation. So the paleokinetic system lost afferent, coming from up, control of his functionality. And in general, if you be a neurologist, to say the truth, notice that when you see some symptoms, some symptoms in the nervous system, try to understand that the producer of these symptoms is living, is normal, but this abnormal of is controlling of this movement. For example, after stroke, you will see the position like this in hand. Yes, for example, in hand. And you ask to me, why the patient which is lost his part of brain can't move his hand, but hand can be in a one position. So cortical control in these cases, when damage, he can't control bottomer centers, for example, the rubral nucleus, and the rubral nucleus activate without controlling and being in a hand in this position. Okay, this is a very important ability of nervous system, which is base of pathology, and this ability of form the whole clinical view which we see in when examination of patient and in hospital. Okay, I understand that this is a very difficult, and in our institute this is something more deeply is explaining in neurology. So I will continue thalamic system and thalamosynergy system in the next lection. Please listen to my first lection and try to understand. How I promise, we will speak and discuss about these topics in the next year, in September. And if you not understand something, you will have a chance to ask a question about that, and I will explain it again. But in your whole life, it is important to understand how is working the nervous system, because some of you could be maybe be a neurologist, and this is a very important base knowledge for your future. And even if you not be a neurologist, you in whole clinical life you will see something concerning to the neurology, and at first time you will try to understand what type of a pathology is in that case, and in general neurology is a subject that you have to understand. It is impossible to not understand. For example, keeping in your brain some points, options and others. So you will understand all the functions which is being in nervous system. Okay? So it will be a little bit complicated, but I hope you will understand me, and in September also we will discuss about them. Okay? Good luck.